Hello, CSBC family. We are kicking off a new forum for 7 Questions with the one and only Dr. Jeff Iorg.
Thank you.
Thanks for being our initial person.
Well, we'll see how this goes. That's
It's going to
great.
be great. 7 Questions is a favorite for our people. And just so you all know out there, we've changed the questions up a little bit. So it's getting kind of a bit of a makeover. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
How are you? How's the process going on the transition?
Extremely well. I'm very pleased with the progress we're making and feel better about the decision every day.
You know, I made this coloring book and had you turned into a cartoon, and then you announced that you were going to be transitioning out. So suddenly this run has become a collector's edition.
I did not know that.
I actually brought one as a gift for you right now.
Goodness. Oh, good.
So you can have one.
Thank you.
Your
oh, yeah, I
collection.
did see this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Before we start, just for those who might not know, tell us who you are and what you do.
Right. I'm Jeff Iorg. I'm the president of Gateway Seminary. I've been here for 20 years. And before that, I was the state executive director of the Northwest Baptist Convention. And before that, I was a church planter in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, no wonder Pete goes to you all the time for advice, because you've been in this role.
I have been.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I do this interview. We've been doing this for 2 years now, and we ask this question to our listeners or our interviewees: what podcasts do you listen to most regularly? And do you want to know what the number one answer is?
I would say the number one answer is that people don't have one they listen to regularly. It would be wonderful if they said their number one podcast was my podcast, but I doubt that's going to be on anybody's top list. But
Every time. The
Oh,
Jeff
awesome.
Iorg Leadership Podcast.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's great.
Yeah, so what you're doing is working. People are listening.
Yeah.
So now let's ask you.
I do not listen to any one specific one repeatedly. And because I get so much ministry input, I tend to listen to podcasts that are either people send me that are fun, are sports related, or something that's humorous or something like that. So,
yeah, a reprieve.
Yes.
From the,
Yes.
I feel you. Alrighty, what biblical character other than Jesus would you want to meet and why?
I would like to meet Joseph.
Which Joseph?
Jesus' earthly father.
Oh, okay.
Because I consider him the model man for the New Testament. He's the model of manhood in the New Testament.
Alrighty, so if you could only root for one sports team for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oregon Ducks. Go Ducks. Easy. I am addicted to quack, as we say, if you're a Ducks fan.
Can we publish that?
Yeah, we are. Ducks fans are addicted to quack. And we are rabid and zealous, and my sons and I are absolutely crazy about the Ducks.
So something interesting that's been coming out in my interviews with pastors and leaders around the state, I used to ask, what's your favorite Bible verse? And so many told me, well, I have a life verse. And so I'm curious, do you have a life verse that's hung around your ministry?
For a long time, 1 Corinthians 4:7, for what do you have that you did not receive? And if you did receive it, why do you boast as though you did not? And I was taught a long time ago to live a received, not an achieved ministry, meaning that I focus more on the fact that God has given me a ministry that I've received from Him, rather than I've achieved a ministry that I impress Him with. And so it's just a reminder to constantly stay focused on the fact that God has made possible everything I am and everything I've done, and to keep me focused on that. That verse has helped.
So we normally ask people where is a place that they would like to travel in the world, but I've come to realize that they don't have any knowledge about that space. So I've changed the question. Where have you traveled in the world that has been the most memorable?
Petra in Jordan was the most amazing thing I've ever seen that was made by humans. I've seen a lot of cool places that God made, and that's pretty spectacular, but Petra is unbelievable, really.
What is one piece of advice that you would like to go back and give to your younger self?
That's a great question. I think that I wish I had developed a better understanding earlier in my ministry of how to work with all kinds of people. When I first started out in ministry, I didn't understand that everyone had something to offer. And I didn't spend enough time developing strategies and approaches that would take advantage of all the gifts of all the people that I had in my church. And I spent too much time being negative or critical about what they couldn't do and not facilitating what they could do. Wish I could go back and do that over again.
All right, we just have one more question, one more official question.
Sure.
And I don't know that if our readers realize this, it's the one question that never gets cut, and I think it's a publisher's prerogative. It's my favorite question.
Okay, this should be good.
So we always close with this one. When you think through all the names of Christ, what name resonates with you the most right now, and why?
Jesus said he was a companion, and in the context of being a counselor or a consoler, he said, I will be with you always, that kind of phrasing. To me, Emmanuel is part of that. If you wanted a specific name, I think of what Jesus is called. But for me, what's most significant in my life right now is Jesus as companion, as counselor, and I don't mean that in clinical sense. I mean of being with me in counsel and being close to me and in that regard. And then Emmanuel, God being with us. You know, I've been a Christian now for more than 50 years. And the most important part of that now for me is having a very devotional and intimate and real relationship with Jesus Christ as a person. And that sense of his companionship with me daily means the most to me of anything.
Let me ask you one more question,
Go
since
ahead.
I have you here. What are you looking forward to most in your next season?
When we were making the decision to start the transition out of being president, I asked Ann, my wife, what would you like to do in the next phase of our lives? My wife is a very caring person and a very selfless person.
We love her.
So I had to press her just a bit to even get an answer. But after some conversation over several days of talking about it in different ways, she finally told me.
Okay.
And then I crystallized that into three things. My wife wants to influence her grandchildren.
Oh.
And she wants to care for two family members that we're responsible for in her family. And she wants to teach children the Bible. And so I said, Ann, for more than 40 years, you've supported me in everything that I felt God wanted us to do. And my wife has reinvented herself at least 3 times into a totally different person to fulfill what God led us to do as a couple and led me to do as her husband. And so I said to her, I'd like to spend the rest of my life making those 3 things come true for you. So that's my plan when I retire.
Wow.
I may do other things. I don't intend to enter a time of inactivity, but I will give up administrative responsibility for an organization, and I will focus my priority attention on fulfilling some of my wife's dreams, and then I'm sure there'll be other things that will come along that I'll do as well.
I'm sure Pete still wants you to be around for him a little bit.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful for you.
Well, it's an honor to serve and to get to do this with you.
Thanks so much.
And go Ducks.
Go Ducks. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.